I'm Darren LaCroix, a professional speaker and speaker coach. I love learning from other great coaches. It makes me better. I started learning dirt bike riding from one of the best coaches and teachers I've ever met. Kiko is a Chilean National Enduro Champion. I loved watching him coach people at different levels, so I had to sit down and interview him as the coach. So, Kiko, thank you very much for joining me. Tell them about your background and when you started teaching dirt bike riding.
Well, I started riding when I was 7 years old. I started riding because my neighbor's dad used to race motorcycles, and they always invite me on the weekends to go and just watch him. And then my friend got a dirt bike, and then that's it. I got hooked right away. And this was maybe when I was around 5 years old. I started asking my parents for a motorcycle, and they said, no way, no way, no way, no way, until at Christmas, I don't remember the year, but I remember I was 7 years old. Santa brought me my first dirt bike.
Good old Santa.
Yeah, it was awesome. And where I'm from Chile, we celebrate Christmas Eve. I remember, so we wait for Santa Claus at midnight. I remember I rode my dirt bike until 5 a.m. in the morning.
Oh.
They had to stop me to just get it out. So there's where everything started.
So tell me about how you became the national champion in Chile.
Many years later, you know, I was a kid, started riding, made mistakes, started riding with some friends, always kind of really focused in off-road. And then I started doing a little bit of motocross. And then I came back to off-road, and I realized that I was pretty good. You know, my friends couldn't catch me, and I started going to races, and I started doing pretty good. I started gaining experience and going up in classes. Then my parents started supporting me, and got me a coach. I got some sponsorships from Chile. I raced for Kawasaki Chile, and in year 2000 and 2001, I won the national championship in the A class, that's the expert class.
Back to back.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what was the key to help you win that race?
Having a coach helped me a lot. It was a really good coach. Sometimes I didn't really agree with him. For example, at one point, he really wanted to teach me, when I was starting, teach me how to ride standing up. And I was in the trail trying, but I didn't always end up sitting down. So what he did, he bought me a trials bike. I don't know if you've ever seen a trials bike.
Yes.
So those bikes, they don't have a seat. So he took my actual
That's one way to do
yeah,
it.
Regular bike out, and I had to ride that bike for like 3 months in off-road, and trials bike was really hard, and I couldn't sit down.
So your coach knew what your challenge was and knew how to help you or force you to grow.
Exactly. And then, you know, just training. I love to train, and I had a passion for it. At one point, I really want to do this as a living, but in South America, you cannot do this. It's not like here. So it was just a hobby. And then after I won my championships, I was in college, and I had to make a decision which way I had to go. So I decided to stay with college and start traveling and everything.
Any other keys to improve?
I think, you know, just my passion for it, just the desire to win, just get out there as much as I could on my dirt bike. I'm glad it wasn't that years, because right now the competition everywhere is so much higher, and people, they really get it, and they train hard. So I train hard, but not as hard as they train right now.
What do you think it was about your coach that made him really good?
You know, just the connection that we had together, and I was able to listen to him, and he kind of understood the way that I learn. I think that's kind of the key. So kind of took me to the next level, and my passion, and I can say, a little talented for it, so it wasn't that hard for me.
But it was a combination.
Exactly. And for him, you know, I think just the way, the connection, and the way that he taught me, you know.
When did you decide that you were going to teach dirt bike riding?
I didn't know, but you know, I always had the thing that I wanted to teach my friends. I wanted to see them get better. made me happy see them win, and really made me happy try to coach them and see like, oh, now he's getting faster. It wasn't like that guy that, oh no, he's getting faster, what am I going to do? I really enjoyed that, and all my life, always, since I was a little kid, always tried to teach something to them, or if I see something, or if I saw something, sorry, just try to correct it, and until I moved here. And then here, it was pretty much when I realized that, man, I really like to teach. So when I moved to the United States, I moved here actually to snowboard. And it kind of started snowboarding, and it was learning something not new, but try to take it to the next level, where like the dirt bike was already there. So I had to kind of start learning again, and then I started working for a ski company in Aspen, and you get some training. It's a really good company because they pay you for training, and then it's like, man, I really like this, and I realized that I had this passion for learning, and then I could like transfer that passion to the student. So everything you start kind of coming together, and then start applying that on the dirt bike in summertime. So yeah, and then I'm still, I think that's my passion. I have a passion for learning, and I have a passion for teaching, and I love to learn more so I can teach more.
What do you think makes you a good teacher?
I think like the connection, be patient. Everyone says that I have a gift in movement analysis. So I'm able to see what are you doing with your body and how is that affecting the snowboard or the motorcycle. And it's like my teaching style, my accent.
Is that your real accent?
Yeah, it's, I think it makes people to pay more attention on what I'm saying. I'm trying to, make a joke here and there. When we have to be serious, try to be serious. I really try to push you enough to keep you safe, but keep learning. And if I see that it's kind of getting dangerous, I back off. And I use, now in my school, in my dirt bike school, we have a philosophy, and it's we need to be safe, we need to have fun, and then we learn. And I really think if you're safe, and if you feel safe, especially in dirt biking, it's kind of a risky sport, and you're having fun, the learning just comes. I've been in another schools that the only thing they want to do is just teaching, and it's really boring.
It's really boring.
When you get bored, your attention just goes away, and you just don't learn the same way. So I really think that just keeping it fun, and because the sport that it is, keeping it safe, and make people feel safe. Yes, that's the key for learning.
How do you know what the different learning styles are with your students?
I studied that a little bit. I studied how the brain works and different learning styles and the different teaching styles. So I learned that people learn. We have visual learners. We have kinesthetic learners. That's the ones that they have to feel it. We have feelers. They need to feel it. We have musical learners. Like sometimes they need to go, 1, 2, 3. Now 1, 2, 3. So they need a rhythm to learn. And then when you look at the student, try to connect with them, kind of learn about their background to see what kind of learning they are. And when I'm teaching, I always try to explain it. I try to do a static demo, try to do a static practice, and then I try to do a demo. I think, for my experience, maybe 70% of the learners are visual, and then you go back to the other ones.
So do you teach everyone the same, or like when you work with me, did you see something different?
Yeah, sometimes, and I catch myself making this mistake, and when I get really excited and see that people are learning, and I start shooting too much information, and the brain, you can take as much information, and I can tell you do all of these things, but when you're doing it, it's like what did I have to do? So I think it's really important to work in one thing at a time, and then put all those things together. When you master one part, okay, then go to the next step. Let's move up to the next skill, and then practice a lot. For example, I don't know, ride with your elbows up, and you ride with your elbows up, 2 turns, put them down, and just remind it, elbows up until it gets in your kind of muscle memory, and then you start doing it without thinking. Okay, then let's move to the next step. Now let's start, okay, looking ahead. And then once you already have your elbows up, okay, let's start moving ahead. And then you just kind of break it down, but then try to put it together. I don't know if it makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So what's the best advice that you have for other people who want to be great teachers?
I think a big problem with teachers, especially in the dirt bike, snowboarding, I don't know if in your place, but it's there's a big ego.
Not in the speaking world, no, not at all.
But in the dirt bike, I'm the teacher and I don't have anything to learn. I think when they have the desire to learn, and this is what I do, again, I have a passion for learning. So I try to go, everywhere I go in this country, I try to take a dirt bike lesson from, doesn't matter who. Better rider than me, worse rider than me, same rider than me, so I can see their teaching style. And sometimes I go to 3-4 different classes and everyone is teaching me the same thing, but in a different way. So I learned that, and then I try to get my own style, taking stuff for everyone, because I think if they're a teacher, they're doing something right. So just try to learn from others.
Any book or resource that you recommend?
Yeah, something that helped me a lot. I'm a certified dirt bike instructor by the Motorcycle Safety Foundation, and they kind of develop a teaching technique and a book for people out there. That's a pretty good way to do it. Now, for dirt biking, you don't have more like a lot of books or stuff like that. Personally, I really like a writer and a teacher. I think is the best in the world. His name is Steve Hatch. So that's good.
Steve Hatch?
Yes. It's usually when I go to different classes, I realize this guy is a really good writer, but he doesn't really have an idea how to teach. And I've been in classes that I show up and the teacher is just over there with shorts and the teacher is just talking to me. And I am a visual learner, so I need to see him doing it for me to kind of understand. So Steve Hatch kind of goes to that way. And again, I use a lot of the snowboard classes, the crossover, pretty good, and I try to absorb everything.
So what do you see as a difference between, say, good students and bad students?
Just the desire of learning. I have some students that they just want to go there and just want to ride. I teach them the basics and they don't care about learning anymore. What I have another students that they work hard, they pay attention, they work on what I'm teaching them. So I think that's the big difference, the desire of learning. Some of the students, some of them are really talented, but they don't want to learn. So the learning curve goes up here and then they hit a plateau and they stay there. When the other one maybe is not as talented, it's going to take him a little longer to get here. But when he gets here, he just keeps going. He doesn't hit the plateau.
What do you think is the difference between, say, a good teacher and an average teacher?
It's hard to say. I would say also the desire, try to connect with the student. Don't quit because this guy is never going to get it. And I've been in that case. So
You're not talking about me, are you?
but usually, what I try to do when I'm teaching, if somebody's having a hard time, try to pull him aside and do, I call it remedial training. So try to do something different for that person to learn what I'm trying to teach. Because I'm being half hour, 45 minutes, trying to teach him something, and he's just not getting it. Maybe it's not him, maybe it's me. So I try to adapt myself to what is happening to him. I don't think, instead of just trying to adapt him to myself, try to move myself to the student to see if I can put a little more attention and work one-on-one.
So I know you work with the special forces, teaching them dirt bike riding. Was it different working with someone who already was very disciplined?
Yes, it was amazing. You can see, for me, it was shocking to see how their brain works. Somebody that is used to training all the time, they learn
Faster.
like super fast, and they're there, and that's their job. So they need to get it done, and that's what they do. And I feel really safe in this country after training those guys.
Why do you think they chose you?
Honestly,
Yes.
I think it was God. Just put me in their path. You know me.
Yes, I do.
They didn't have, this guy from Chile, speaks with an accent, and I think we have a good program.
Tell us about the ritual that you have before you even get on the dirt bikes in your class.
I pray before I ride. I pray before I do everything. Actually, I give my business to God. That's what I do, and I think He's the one that's been giving me the skills to do this, and the connections and people and everything. So,
What inspires you to continue to become a better teacher?
keep learning. Keep learning. I think that's the key for the teachers. Just keep learning. Keep learning from everyone, from everywhere, wherever you can get. Just try to get something. Even though you think it's not worth it, I'm sure you can get something out of it. And that's what I do. And that's what I tell my students. Sometimes, I get my students, and where it's like, lately I've been doing, okay, you guys are in a class, bring a notebook, so they can take notes. And that's what I've been doing. So then I study. It's a class. I study to be a better teacher. And I get out there and I train basics. I train keeping my elbows up, sit in the front of the bike, and I feel myself. So then I can see myself to see if I'm doing a good demo. So just keep working, keep learning, keep practicing. That's pretty much what it is.
So I know when we came to work with you, my brother, who's excellent, amazing at what he does on the dirt bike, then there's me, a little bit of experience, and my sister was just beginning. How do you approach each of us a little differently?
Once you guys came the last time, I knew that, David, it's another level, so always putting more attention in you guys. You and then your sister. I don't know if you realize, but I had a lot of attention in Donna.
Oh, absolutely.
So, because she requires the more attention. Then I go to you and said, okay, Darren, I want you to do 5 laps in second gear, just doing this. And then I go back to Donna. So I give you a task, keep you busy for 5 laps. Then you come back, keep working with Donna, and then try to go back to you. And then I see David, okay, go to David, give him a task, and then go back to Donna, because I need to be with Donna. And then when I see that Donna is getting it a little more, just leave her alone, so she can enjoy it a little more. Okay, Donna, you want to ride in first gear? Ride in first gear. But just do elbows and all of that. And then I go back to you, and I see you were struggling with the ruts, so okay, let's work in ruts. This is what happened. What is happening to you? And then with David was struggling in the turn. So after I work with you a little bit, I go with David, and then move to Monica. So let's try to separate. It's hard to sometimes divide the time.
So what's your best advice for someone who wants to be excellent or the best at what they do?
Have a passion for it. Try not to get burned out. I think that happens a lot when you overtrain yourself. So train, but also try to have fun. If you enjoy what you're doing, you're just always going to keep going. And just keep training and practicing, and try to modify your training. Don't be in the schedule for 6 months, because you're going to get bored. So try to mix it up a little bit.
So Kiko, thanks for joining me.
Thank
I
you for
appreciate
having
it. You're an amazing teacher as
you
well
very
as
much.
rider, and I learned a lot from watching you teach. That helped me. Thank you so much.
Thank you.